Hey everyone, I am your astrologer Wonder Girl, helping you to live in tune with the natural cycles of the moon. This is your astrology horoscope for the new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio, which occurs on Tuesday, October 25th, 2022 at 6:49 a.m. Eastern Time or 3:49 a.m. Pacific Time. Now, what I think is going on at this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio is that we know deep down we need to release and let go of things in our life that are no longer in alignment with ourselves and who we are becoming, which could include relationships, money, jobs, health habits, of any kind here. But even though we know we need to do that, we are hesitating to really do that because we're scared, we're afraid to end these old things, move forward, have these conversations and confrontations with the people and things that are involved here. That's a bit difficult that this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio we're having to learn how to deal with so that we can overcome these fears and do what needs to be done to let old things go and to move on. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. If you want to hear more about that, please do stay tuned. Now, let's go ahead and let's hop right into it. In order to get started, what I like to do first is, of course, place on the chart what it is that I'm referring to so that you can see what it is that we're talking about and follow along with me. So let's do that now. This video is for the new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio. As a result, I have adjusted this chart accordingly. I know that because I've got the sun and the moon here making a conjunction at the same degree in the same sign here, which is a new moon. And I know that it is a solar eclipse here because it's in the same sign as the south node here, which is Scorpio. However, I should note this is not a total eclipse. This is partial because even though the sun and the moon and the node here are all in the same sign, they're not right upon each other. They're a good few 10 degrees away here, which is going to make that a partial one, even though that doesn't really change my interpretation too much. Okay, now what is this about? Well, new moons are all about new beginnings, new energy, and fresh starts here, and solar eclipses superpower that and make that a very big new beginning or a very significant one that's going to have a big impact on our lives now and, of course, over the next few months and even years, I would say, until the nodes, of course, come back in the opposite direction about 9 years after this. Okay, what kind of significant and very big new beginning are we getting here at this time? Well, the new moon solar eclipse is in the sign of Scorpio. What is Scorpio about? Well, Scorpio is a sign of change here and transformation. Sure, about relationships and money, but I want to focus more on within ourselves first. Change and transformation within our own emotions as individuals here, being a water sign here correlated to Pluto. So what that means to me, I guess to continue to bring that together so far, is that what's going on at this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio is that we're getting a very big beginning here to transform from the inside out, to transform who we are and how we feel about ourselves and what's going on. Not only that, but I should also note too that I do believe that Scorpio is a lot about an understanding of our desires and of the things that are deeply important to us, and maybe even too of some of our subconscious stuff going on as well. So not only is this new moon solar eclipse bringing a significant transformation within each of us as individuals, here within who we are and within what we desire, but also to understand more of who we are and what we desire to. Not only that, but I also do consider Scorpio as well to be sure about subconscious triggers, being a water sign, but also as well about the ability to overcome those, overcome subconscious triggers, overcome subconscious fears, and of course emerge on the other side. So not only is this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio about us experiencing a very big significant transformation within ourselves as individuals here to feel differently about life, maybe even to desire different things and to understand more of who we are and what we desire, but to also overcome, I think, long-standing fears and subconscious issues here. And maybe I should even use the word heal, right? Kind of related to heal some of those things here as well. Not only that, but I also do consider Scorpio as well to be a sign of courage, courage and strength and drive. Here, also being correlated to Pluto, but also in some ways to Mars as well, which usually comes from a deep knowledge of yourself and overcoming fears as well. So what that means to me is that not only is this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio here giving us a very significant transformation within ourselves as individuals to want different things and to desire different things and to understand what that actually is here and to overcome and heal any of the subconscious fears fears and triggers in the way of that knowledge here, but also as a result of that, for us to emerge with more courage and strength, I think, within ourselves, and to assert those things, I should note, that are important to us. Not only that, but the last thing I want to note as well is that Scorpio is also about relationships and money and changing those. However, I think that needs to come after the internal change. So not only, again, to continue with it, is this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio about us experiencing a major change and transformation within our own selves here, to either want different things, be different, and to understand more of what that is and who we're becoming and what we're desiring here, but it's also to overcome and heal any of the fears and triggers and insecurities in the way of that, so that we can emerge stronger, more in our courage and more in our power as individuals, and then as a result of that, make change externally with relationships and money in order to be more in alignment with who it is that we're becoming deep down within our soul. Okay, so that's what I want to say here about the new moon solar eclipse. Other things that I want to note as well before I move forward is that this is a new moon solar eclipse here, but even though it's that, it is on the south node here and not the north node, and there's a difference. Okay, and the south node is really a point of release. It's a point of letting things go, especially things that are no longer working for us anymore and are no longer in service of the north node and the direction, which is the direction in life that we're meant to be going at this time. And really with the north node in Taurus is about stability, security, our own needs and values as individuals. So to bring that other layer on top of it, not only is this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio here about us getting a major internal transformation within ourselves first, to want different things here and be different here, and to understand more of what that is and what we now desire, and to release and heal and overcome any of the fears and triggers in the way of that, and stand more in our courage, strength, and power, so that we can then do things outwardly and make changes with relationships and money here that are no longer in alignment with us, but so that we can in particular let them go, so that we can in particular here release and end things that are not in alignment here first. So that's primary here before bringing new and different things in at a later date, like say 4 weeks from now, the next new moon in Sagittarius. Okay, so please do keep that in mind. We're getting more of the ending part of Scorpio here instead of the beginning part, because it's on the south node. Okay, and that's it, because that's all I'm going to say there in terms of the big themes here of this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio. I'm just going to go backwards in time for a minute here before I move forwards to give you more detail about this. And I want to go backwards in time here just to give you more of the context of how we got here and of why this is now coming up to be felt, lived through, and experienced. Okay, and to do that, I'm going to go back quite a bit, I believe, to 2020 and just hit some important points in order to catch you up. If you don't want to hear this or have already heard it and just want to move forward, that's fine. You can go ahead and fast forward in the video. I put the chapters here for you in order to make that easy. But I'm going to go ahead and hop into it now, and I'm going to start back in an alignment that occurred around the beginning of 2020. I think it was January to April. It feels so long ago now. January to April of 2020. At that time, Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter made a conjunction here towards the later degrees of Capricorn. This is a very, very significant alignment here, because Pluto and Saturn in particular only come into a conjunction about every 35 years, and especially it's even more rare to get Jupiter there as well. So this is a very rare and unusual alignment. It's a big deal because it includes the heavy hitters, Saturn and Pluto, which are slower moving planets a lot of times as well. What was this alignment about? Well, I should also note it's not a good one. It's not a good one either, because Saturn and Pluto are very unpleasant. So what it wasn't a good one. So what that means to me is that in January to April of 2020, we had a very rare and unique moment in our life that was very unpleasant. And I think it was an unpleasant moment that made us realize that we needed to make Jupiter big, change Pluto in the structure of our lives, Saturn and Capricorn, to overcome things that were no longer working for us anymore so that we could move forward. Okay, so that's what happened then. Yes, January, April 2020, we realized we didn't like where we were in life. Life was very unpleasant. We needed to make changes to overcome that in some way, shape, or form so that we can eventually feel better. Okay, and after that occurred, I should note, for the next 2 years, from January to April of 2020 to actually April of this year, 2022, when we had a new moon solar eclipse in Taurus, those entire 2 years after that, we spent making the changes to end things that were not working for us, that we really didn't like here, and that were very unpleasant, okay? That then leads us to April of 2022 at that new moon solar eclipse in Taurus. At that time, we then started to feel like we were in a little bit of a better place, that we had released and ended enough stuff, maybe not all of it, but enough stuff to be in a better place. That was Taurus, more stable, more secure here, more abundant for ourselves and for our situations to in some way start again, start over, start anew in some way, shape, or form, and bring new things into our life. And that was a very, very good thing. But even though in April of 2022, we felt in a much better place than we were and able to kind of start again and bring new and better things into our life, we still struggled to fully do that, to start over, to bring the new things together, especially 2 weeks after that. I believe it was May of 2022 at the full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio, which this one is connected to, for which this video is for. And what I think happened in May 2022 at that full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio is that we realized we were having trouble moving forward, bringing more new and better things into this better experience of life that we had created here, which is very, very, very frustrating, and we're stuck. And from that frustration and being stuck, I think what we learned at that lunar eclipse here from spirit and from our intuition is that the reason why we were stuck, unable to move forward in this better experience of life, is because we were in a better experience in life, but we still had the same old emotions, habits, mindsets, beliefs that were not conducive to the new lifestyle and to success and to forward movement. And I think what spirit told us is the habits that we had that were unhelpful here is that we had too many intense emotions. We're getting too intertwined with relationships and concerned about them here, and spending too much money and making too much change, and that we needed to stop that. And in order to move forward in a healthier way that's workable for our situation here, we needed to stop having these crazy emotions, stop dealing with other people, especially in intense ways, to save money and to value more ourselves and to understand our own needs and values here as we move forward. And that was a helpful realization here. But even though that was a helpful realization, it took us a while, to be honest. It took us a while to fully get through our heads and to fully step into in some kind of way, until a few months later, about August 2022 of this year. It was around the new moon in Leo here, as we had a rare and unusual conjunction with Mars, conjunct Uranus in the North Node here in Taurus, the same spot that things were in April. And what I think happened in August of 2022 is that we finally started to get it. We finally started to get, oh, we need to stop being intertwined with all these relationships, and we need to stop making crazy change and being all over the place and spending all this money. And we need to focus and slow down and be more stable, more secure, more in tune with our own needs and values here. And because we finally started to get that through our head in August of 2022, this year, we then started to try to do the things we wanted to do in April of this year that we couldn't do. We tried to do them again now with a different and better approach and with a different and better perspective. And I think that that was a good thing. And I think that it has gone okay. But even though it's been a good thing for us to pick up and bring more new things into our lives here with in a slower way that's more calm, with more knowledge and understanding of ourselves. I don't think that it's fully come together quite yet for us to move forward into a better experience of life. And I don't think it's fully come together quite yet because I think that we are still getting to know ourselves, getting to know the lay of the land, still kind of adjusting in some kind of way that's going on here that's been hard. And because we have recently started, I think, to do things that are going to be better for us in this slow, stable, secure way that's more self-reliant, but it hasn't fully come together yet, especially better things in our life that we want in order to move forward. This solar eclipse now, of which this video is for, is really helping us. It is really helping us to make the change deep within our soul to adopt a slower, more stable, more secure lifestyle, I think, with more knowledge of ourselves, and to understand what we desire, what the new personality is that we're becoming here, and to get more of the courage and the strength to assert that and to release anything that's holding us back, and to release anything that is holding us back from moving forward, creating even more better circumstances for ourselves as we move on, so that we can stop being in limbo here or being uncertain about what's happening. Okay. And that's it, because that's all I'm going to say now in this video in terms of the past context. I'm just going to repeat that one more time very quickly here without the astrological jargon, so you can get a better sense of what I think is going on here. So let me do that. What I think has been going on, or what I think is the bigger picture, maybe I'll say that, of this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio, is that we're finally making a permanent change deep within our soul here, to understand ourselves better and what we desire, and possibly even to value stability, security, and our own needs more, and to feel more courageous and strong within that, so that we can more fully release things that are no longer in alignment with ourselves and who we're becoming, and step into eventually, especially a month from now, better experiences that we've really been trying to get to for many years prior to this. Okay, and that's it, because that's all I'm going to say there. I'm now going to move forward in time so that you can see more specifically here what the energy is of this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio and how it's going to play out as we move forward. And to do that, I'm going to go through some of the specific aspects that the new moon solar eclipse is making and of the ones that are happening around it. And to do that, I'm going to start back very briefly at that new moon solar eclipse itself, just to make sure we're good here. So I'm going to do that. What is the new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio about? Again, that's about us experiencing a major change within our soul, who we are, what we want, what we desire, to know that better. And I think to desire healthier things that are more stable and secure, and to get more of the courage and strength to assert that and to release things that are no longer in alignment with that here as we move forward. Okay, so it's going on there. The next thing that I want to note, and the next alignment I want to go to, is actually going to be one that's happening, an aspect that's happening around the eclipse, not related to it, but just around it. And I'm going to move my way back to the eclipse, but I'm going to start here with this one. At the time of this eclipse, we've got Mercury here in Libra coming into a square here with Pluto in Capricorn here. Now, this is a bit of a difficult alignment to have at the time of this eclipse. It's a bit difficult because it's a square and because Pluto is involved. What is the difficulty here? Well, Pluto is the ruler of this eclipse, right? Because this eclipse is in Scorpio, and Scorpio is a Pluto-ruled sign. And Pluto is about permanent change and transformation within ourselves, and to release these old things that are no longer working for us, in alignment with who we are, and asserting that. And when you get Pluto by hard aspect, which a square is here, it can bring hesitation to do that, hesitation to change, resistance to change and to evolution, to release these things. And usually, I should note, with Pluto and with the nodes, it comes in one of three ways: either resisting to release old things and make the change and not doing anything at all, or doing a little bit but not fully, entirely as much as it needs to be done here, or actually reverting backwards into old things that are unhelpful for us. That's unpleasant here, which can include, thoughts, with Mercury being all thoughts, ideas, beliefs, habits, things like that, and conversations that's going on here. And usually with Pluto by hard aspect, it is because of some sort of fear or some sort of subconscious trigger or issue here that has been unhealed. Okay. And I think a lot of times with the Pluto, it can be some issue, of course, from childhood, from the past. Pluto can do with that. But I think it's also a fear of releasing old things, moving into new, different, and better things, and standing up to people in the process. Okay, so what this means to me, to continue bringing this together, is that at this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio, we're really trying to make changes within ourselves to know who we are better, and to want more stability, more security, more healthy situations where our needs are getting met, so that we can move forward here. And we also want to release anything with relationships and money that is not supportive of that, of who we are becoming, and of what we're desiring, and of what's important to us. But even though that's what we want, we're really struggling to do that, and we're hesitating. We're hesitating to fully release the old things that are not in alignment with us, and are either not doing it at all, doing it a little bit but not as much as we need, or actually doing the opposite and reverting back and recreating the same situations that we don't like. That's going on here, that's unpleasant because of a lot of fear, maybe from early childhood, right? Things that are very, and unhealed issues that are very important to you, but also fear of leaving the past behind here, stepping into the unknown, and of standing up to people and things to release this stuff, right? Because when you got to release something that you don't want, you have to tell someone, like, hey, I don't want to do this, So I think we're also trying to get the fear, overcome the fear of that here, that is very, very difficult here. And I should note is creating a lot of frustration here and inner tension, not just because of that alignment, but also because another one. Okay. Not only is Mercury square Pluto at the time of this eclipse, but the eclipse itself is also making a quincunx over here to Jupiter and Aries. And a quincunx is a difficult alignment because it's an aspect between two planets and two signs that just don't see eye to eye here. And Jupiter is a lot about, well, maybe I'll say this, Jupiter's in Aries. Aries is a lot about action. It's about action, especially being the first sign of the zodiac, to start again, to do new things, to move forward, things that are important to our identity. And Jupiter can be kind of excitable here. And with this being a quincunx here, we're not able to tap into that, especially because there's a lot of emotional fears, issues, and triggers that are going on with the Pluto influence and with the solar eclipse in Scorpio, a Pluto ruled sign. So do you see this here? This new moon solar eclipse, we're starting to learn more of who we are and what we want, which is stability, security, things that are healthier for us here. And to get more used to that, we're also starting to realize that we need to release things, relationships and money that are not in alignment with that in order to move forward. But even though we're getting to know who we are and what we want and what we desire in this healthier way, and that we need to release things that are no longer in alignment with that, we're not doing it. We're hesitating to fully release these things, but either not doing it at all, doing it a little bit instead of fully, or reverting backwards into these whole things, usually because of fear. Okay, a lot of fears, childhood fears, fears of leaving the past behind, stepping into the unknown, asserting yourself, getting into arguments, perhaps. That's going on at this time. And because we're not doing what we need to do and we're afraid, we're very frustrated that we're not able to move forward. We're not able to create a life that's in alignment with us, and that we're not able to tap into the excitement, you know, and excitement and passion and zest for life like maybe we once had a long time ago here. That's going on while we deal with all these deep fears and triggers. Okay. That's a big challenge. Okay. But even though that's a big challenge here, and there is a part of us that is stuck and hesitating, I do think that there is a desire to move forward, sure, with the Jupiter and Aries, but also too because of the next alignment that I want to mention, and that's going to be Saturn going direct really in the days before this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio, but that we're definitely feeling right now. Okay, what is that all about? Well, when planets go direct, I do see them as a helpful influence here because they're giving some kind of forward momentum on helping us to progress in some kind of way, as opposed to when it's going retrograde. Not only do I like it because of that, but also too because when planets go direct, they do bring some kind of insight or clarity to help us move forward that maybe we didn't see before in some kind of way. So I also like it because of that. And Saturn too, when it goes direct and is helpful, can bring a sort of consistency or structure to our situation to help it feel more secure, or to give more glue to it and more certainty here about ourselves and what's next and how to maneuver things here. And it's an Aquarius, and Aquarius is a lot about our authentic self, our authentic truth, and who we're becoming. Not only that, but it's also about breaking free from things that are no longer in alignment with that and getting our freedom from those things here. And it's also about the future. Aquarius doesn't like to stay stuck. It likes to move forward in some kind of way. So what that means to me now, to continue to bring it together, is that at this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio, we're having a deep and personal change and transformation within ourselves to want different things, more stability, security, and healthier situations from here on out. Which is very, very good. Here, we're also realizing that we need to release relationships, money, and anything in our life that's not in alignment with ourselves and what we want and who we're becoming. But even though all of this is happening, we're hesitating to fully release these things that are no longer in alignment with us, and either not doing it a little bit instead of fully here, or reverting back into these old things, mostly because of fear, tons of fear that's going on here, leaving the past behind, stepping into the unknown. Asserting ourselves with relationships here, are things from childhood. That's making us very frustrated, upset. I need to note anxious here, feeling down, like we're never going to be able to move forward and start anew and do what we want to do, which is very hard. But even though that's very hard, there is a part of us deep down within our soul at the same time that all of this is going on, that's starting to realize that for as hard as it may be, we cannot stay stuck anymore, you know, and for as afraid as we may be of releasing old things with relationships and money and making the adjustments to do it, we cannot stay stuck anymore in these things that are no longer authentic to us, no longer in alignment for us, and that we need to get free from those things in one way or another here. And we're becoming more certain about that needs to happen here. That then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention here, back to the new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio, which is going to be this solar eclipse conjunct Venus. Exactly. It's kind of interesting to have it here. Okay, that's going on. Okay, now there are some things I do like about this alignment here that's going on. There are some things that I like about it because the sun, the moon, and Venus, just as planets in general, are all pretty friendly. They're all personal planets. They're all benefic planets. So I do like that. I also like it as well because the new moon is here and they're all making a conjunction, which does also start new cycles, right? A conjunction is the same as a new moon. They start new cycles. They bring new insights. So I really do like this here in a lot of ways. But even though I do like this, I do need to note that Venus and the moon are here in Scorpio, and Venus and the moon like Scorpio the least. So even though the sun, moon, and Venus like each other, and I think there are some really good things about this alignment, there is something also difficult and unpleasant about it at the same time here, or a good thing coming in a challenging way here as we move forward. What is the good thing that's going on that's maybe a tad bit difficult? Well, back to the Scorpio influence. Scorpio is a lot about a personal change within ourselves, yes. Okay, it is about that, to know who we are and what we want, but it's also about overcoming fear and healing old issues here. And it's also about getting the courage and the strength here, the courage and the strength to make the change here within our situations in order to improve them, and dealing with the emotional triggers here that are coming up as we move forward, especially with the moon and Venus here that could be going on. So what that means to me, I guess, to continue to bring it together so far, is that this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio, we're changing, I think, to want different things that are healthier for us and to understand more fully what that is and who we're becoming and how we're evolving here, which is very, very good. Not only that, but we're also realizing that there are some things in our life, relationships, money, etc., that are not in alignment with that and need to be released before we can move forward. Okay, and that's also positive. But even though both of those things are going on, we are still hesitating, I think, to fully do that, to fully change within ourselves and to release the old things that are no longer in alignment with us and are either not doing it all, doing it a little bit and not enough, or actually reverting back to the same things that we hope to escape here because of fear. Fear of leaving the past behind, stepping into the unknown, standing up to people and things and asserting ourselves in some kind of way, which is making us feel really frustrated. And like we're never going to be able to move forward and never going to be able to know who we are and create different and better, exciting experiences here for our life again. That's hard and upsetting. But even though we're afraid and we're hesitating and things aren't working out and aren't coming together, but we're not doing anything, we start to get deep within our soul as this is going on, some sort of realization here that even though we are afraid, we can no longer stay stuck. We can no longer tolerate things in our life that are no longer in alignment with ourselves and how we're evolving, and that we eventually need to break free from these things that are no longer authentic to us here and move forward into these different experiences. And because we're starting to realize, I can't let these things get me down. I can't let these things as fear get me down and stop me from doing what I need to do. We then start to go deeper within to the fear, deeper within to the fear, deeper within ourselves here to figure out what the fear is, to overcome the fear, to heal some of those triggers, and to get more of the courage and the strength within ourselves to do what needs to be done. Okay, and it's difficult, right? It's difficult. We're going into the fear to confront them. It's difficult to do that, bringing up a lot of, I think, unhealthy emotion, not unhealthy, bringing up a lot of like emotional junk or uncomfortable emotional responses that are going on. Okay, but even though we're going deep to confront, I need to note these fears around releasing things that are no longer in alignment with us. And even though it's extremely uncomfortable here, I do believe that through these uncomfortable feelings, it's going to help. Through these uncomfortable feelings, we're going to realize some important things about ourselves and be able to alchemize them to a healthier and higher expression in a more calm and peaceful expression. And that's because of the next alignment that I want to mention here, which is going to be Jupiter about to in a day or so, a few days after this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio retrograde back into Pisces, where it also was earlier this year, I believe around April. Okay, this to me is a very good thing. It's a very good thing because Jupiter likes to be in Pisces. It's one of its home signs there that it rules, in addition to Sagittarius as well. So that's a very good thing. And also too, because Jupiter is a good planet to have in good position, because it's a planet of wisdom, of understanding, of optimism here, and of gifts and good luck. So this to me is a very, very good alignment. What is it bringing? Well, it's going to be in Pisces here. Pisces is about the past, right? Being the last sign of the zodiac, Jupiter brings wisdom and understanding about the past here in some kind of way. Not only that, but Pisces is also about release, being the sign of the past. So it's wisdom and understanding about the past and what needs to be released. Not only that, but Pisces is a lot about healing, especially emotional healing. So it's going to bring wisdom and understanding about how to do that. And it's also gifts and good luck, right? It's also going to bring us more gifts, more good luck, or more optimism. Maybe I just need to say that, more optimism here, that we can heal, that we can release the past, that we can move forward here, and to adjust our emotions, I think, in a very, very helpful way as we move forward. So do you see this? What's happening here at this new moon in Scorpio? We're realizing we're becoming someone different, and we need to release things in our lives that are no longer in alignment with that. Okay, but we are afraid to do that and hesitating here, and either not doing it a little bit instead of fully, or reverting back into these old things because we are afraid to leave the past behind, move into the unknown, stand up to people, assert ourselves, etc., which is a big challenge, making us feel down on ourselves, like we're never going to move forward, never going to make things work, never going to get things together here in order to move forward in the way that we might like. But even though that's a really difficult, from this intense anxiety and frustration and fear and hesitation here, what we start to realize is that we cannot stay stuck anymore in these things that aren't in alignment with us, because we've been doing that for long enough here, and that we have to assert our authentic self here and break free from these things and move forward in the future. And because we're realizing we cannot stay stuck anymore, we have to do it. We then go deeper within our own soul to confront the fear, head on, and confront the triggers about why this is happening, why we're not doing this, why we're not doing that, so that we can more fully overcome them here and move on. And it's a very uncomfortable process to all around to have the fear, to confront the fear, to deal with this stuff. But even though it's a very uncomfortable process, bringing intense, weird emotional responses, which I should know can range from sadness to anger, here, it does work. It does, the deeper we go into these emotions, work to alchemize the emotions and help us get some important wisdom and understanding on who we are, what needs to be released that is no longer in alignment with us, and to heal these things and to feel more at peace. I should also know Pisces about peace, to feel more at peace about what needs to be done here as we move forward. That then leads me now to the next and the last alignment I'm going to mention here in this video, and that's going to be Mars, about to go retrograde here right after Jupiter re-enters Pisces a few days from now here, yes, in Gemini. What is that about? Well, you know, I mean, it is a little frustrating because it is a planet going retrograde, but even though it's a little frustrating, I do like it. To be honest with you, I really like it when planets change direction, no matter what direction they're going in, because they bring a different perspective that's like needed here. So sure, it's going retrograde, but I think it's bringing with it a very good perspective or thing that's meant to be helpful to rework some things out in our life. What is helpful? Well, Mars is about action, right? Which is the planet that's going retrograde here. And retrograde is really a symbol of the past, right? Since Mars is going back over things that's already happened, it's really about reworking the past. And I still think releasing the past, releasing the things, and actually the doing of it. Not only that, but Gemini is a lot about having the conversations. Because if you're going to do the releasing of the past and go over these old things, usually that requires a conversation to be like, hey, I don't want to do this. You know, I'd rather not do that. So it's also about having the conversations in order to do that. Not only is that going on, but Gemini is a lot about being flexible, being adaptable, you know, being more flexible with like, okay, let's not do this. Let's do things a different way. So it's also about that. Not only there, but I need to note Gemini is an air sign, right? Similar to where Saturn went direct in Aquarius. around this solar eclipse. And air signs are less emotional, right? They're more intellectual, they're less emotional, they're less phased by all this stuff about the endings and beginnings and what people are going to say here that's going on. So what that means to me is that we then start to take the actions and have the conversations here in a more flexible way to release these things, relationships, money, stuff that it is that we no longer want here. Okay. And to, maybe I should even note with the Scorpio to have the altercations, even Mars, you know, Mars is, can be a bit aggressive, and to have the confrontations, the altercations here with people in order to end this stuff and move forward in the way we might like, which I also should note, I should have said this earlier, can come unexpectedly, with Saturn here being direct now in Aquarius, which is the planet, the sign of the unexpected. Okay, so what that means to me, I guess, to bring it together so far, I don't know if I have anything else yet to add, but what that means to me to bring it together so far is that, yeah, at this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio here, we're realizing that, like, we're becoming a different person. We're wanting different things that are better for us, and we're getting more wisdom of who that is. We're also realizing that there are a lot of things in our life, relationships, money, habits, etc., that no longer align with ourselves and who are becoming and need to be released. And all of that's very positive. But even though that's very positive, we're still hesitating to fully do that, and either not releasing these old things, doing it a little bit instead of fully, or reverting back into these old things that we actually don't like. And we're doing that because of fear, afraid to end things, afraid to move forward, afraid to stand up to people that's going on here, which is making us feel really frustrated and triggered and upset. Like we're never going to move forward and have different and better things that are exciting happen in our lives here in the way that we might like. But out of this deep, intense frustration and hesitation, I think what happens is that we start to get an important realization from within our soul, and we start to get an important realization that we can no longer stay stuck in these things that aren't in alignment with us, and that we must move forward and do what we can to break free from these things that aren't working for us here. And because we realize we can't stay stuck, we then go deeper into the fears and triggers to face them and confront them within ourselves about why we're so scared to do all this stuff that's going on here. And it's very hard. You know, it's very hard and triggering, bringing a wide range of emotions from sadness to anger here about all this stuff that's going on. But the more and more and more that we confront our fears and our triggers, we then get helpful insights, perspectives, understandings about our emotions, about our situations that helps us to heal our triggers, and to get more wisdom about how to release the past and in what way, and to feel more at peace about the whole thing. And because we're finally getting more wisdom and understanding about it and feeling more at peace, we then finally start to take the action, to do the things here and start the conversations with the people, with the money, with the jobs, with the habits that we do not like here and want to release from our lives here, with less of the emotional care, with less care about how people respond and what they're going to say and how they're going to say it, which can occur suddenly and unexpectedly here at this time. Okay. And I think that's it. Okay. I think that's all I'm going to say in terms of the aspects. Okay, because that's it, I think I'm just going to add a few more other points here about this solar eclipse before I move on. What do I want to say here? I think what I want to say here is that, maybe to put it more simply, what is going on at this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio here is that we're getting the courage as individuals and the strength to release things, relationships, money, jobs, habits, situations in our life that are no longer in alignment with who we are, so that we can move forward. And we're getting the courage to have the confrontations, you know, in order to do so, right? Because when you release something from your life, usually it requires a confrontation or a conversation in order to do it. You know, these things just don't magically disappear. So I think that's one thing that I need to say here to make sure you understand that what's going on at this new moon solar eclipse, right, is we're getting the courage and the strength here to finally release things all across the board that are no longer in alignment with who we are becoming, and to confront these things and deal with them and face them head on in order so that they're no longer bothering us as we move forward. Okay. That's what's really happening here at this time, okay? Because that's what's happening, maybe I need to emphasize here, does that mean that there's going to be no conflicts going on? No, I think there's going to be a lot of conflicts that have the potential to go on at this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio, right? Because if we're releasing things in our life and we have to tell people, hey, I don't want to do this, I don't want to be in a relationship with you, I don't want this job, I don't want this thing, right? Typically, there's going to be a disagreement between you and someone else because it's very unusual for everyone to want the same thing all the time. So does that mean that there's going to be no conflicts? No, I think there's going to be a lot of conflicts that can come up here around this solar eclipse in Scorpio here. With other people that you may be dealing with. But even though, which is why the courage and the strength and to face the fears here is needed, okay? But even though there is a potential for a lot of conflicts to occur at this time, what I think is going to happen is that we're going to be less afraid of the conflict, and more of the courage and strength in order to do it with less of the emotional care about it. Okay, so these are other things that I don't know if it came out from the aspects, but that I want to say here. We're getting the courage up, all of us, to end things that are no longer in alignment with us anymore, which is going to require some kind of confrontation, you know, and conversation in order to do so, in order to make that happen. And that doesn't mean that everyone's going to agree and that everything's going to work out perfectly. No, when you confront someone, there's probably going to be an argument. It just means that you're going to care less about the argument and about the thing that's stopping you from moving forward, and more able to stand up to it and to wash your hands of it and to move on. Okay. And the goal should not be, right? Like the goal should not be to have everyone agree and have everyone be on the same page. Like how boring would that be, you know? So the goal should not be like, I really wish we all just agreed and wanted the same thing so I wouldn't have to stand up to this person. No, that would be boring. The goal here is to be able to assert yourself in what's important to you and to not worry how other people are going to respond to as you move onwards. Okay, so do note that. Okay, because that's what's going on here. I should note, and that's what's going on here. I should note there are some people who aren't going to like this, okay? Because I'm interpreting this energy from the sense that like you are the actor. You know, we are all the heroes of our own stories, right? I'm interpreting this energy as like we are the ones getting the courage to release old things that are no longer in alignment with us and to not care about a confrontation and to not care how other people are going to respond. Okay, but there are some people who are going to be on the receiving end of that. There are some people that you're going to be dealing with who are going to have no clue that you want to end something with them, a job or relationship, who are going to have no clue and who are going to be caught off guard here and are possibly going to resist. Okay, and because of that, sure, you need to be aware that you may catch people off guard, but because of that, what you also need to realize is that some of you may be on the receiving end. If you're not the person initiating and ending with something here that you've been trying to get the courage up to do, then some of you may be on the receiving end. Someone else may end something with you here that you may not see coming here that then could trigger you, that you're then going to have to figure out here how to overcome the fear to release the thing here in order to let it go. And you're going to have to stop fighting to hold on to it, you know, because Scorpio is about change and on a South Node is about endings. You're going to have to stop fighting to hold on to, and you're going to have to let it go or to make an adjustment in some way as well. So please do note that this works forwards and backwards. Okay. Some of you are getting are scared about having to initiate an ending, things like that, trying to get up the courage so that you can confront someone and not care how they're going to respond, so that you can do what you need to do to move on. And others of you are on the receiving end. You don't plan on ending anything with someone, but they may surprise you with an ending here, and that can startle you and trigger you, making you afraid to release and end on things that you're then going to have to deal with here in order to let this thing go and stop trying to hold on to it here, because I don't think that it's going to work. Okay, so do note that here. Okay. Okay, it can work both ways, but there's a need to move on. There's a need to change with the Scorpio influence. There's a need to evolve. And we can't stop, you know, doing what needs to be done for our lives to feel better just because other people don't like it, you know. Okay, and we need to be okay with other people disagreeing while we go get things that are important to us. And I think that that's what's trying to transpire. We're trying to be comfortable, Venus with conflict, with Venus being in Scorpio, right? We're trying to be comfortable with conflict here and comfortable with confrontation and comfortable with releasing these old things that no longer are working for us. And it's possible. It is possible here for us to be that way. And I do think that it has a real chance to emerge at this time, way more so than some of the others. Okay, and I think that's all I'm going to say there, because that's it. I'm just going to look at your inside degrees. Okay, I'm going to pull that up on, oops, sorry. I'm going to pull that up on the screen here. I like to look at the inside degrees. They weren't written by me. They were written by someone else named Elias Lonsdale, who channeled the meanings for each of the degrees from Spirit. I like to look at them because I think that they're really interesting and relevant and helpful. So we're going to do that. The new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio is at 2 degrees Scorpio, but I liked one. I liked a few of them. So we're just going to read through some of them. Okay, I've got it up on the screen. 1 degree Scorpio. When darkness comes, you need more darkness if you're ever going to find the light. As the struggle of Earth existence descends upon you, you must find a way to harness the power of that struggle to turn death into rebirth. Okay, what does that mean to me? I think there is a lot of uncomfortable emotions going on at this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio here, because we're in situations still that a lot of us are no longer in alignment with us and don't want to be in. And I think what this is saying is that a lot of us are in situations we don't want to be in at this time, and they aren't being fixed. And we need the intense emotions from these uncomfortable situations here to really help us realize that we can no longer stay stuck and that we have to transform these situations and move forward. Okay. But it is so pressurized and absolutely relentless a path to walk. Everything you meet reflects the same destiny dilemma. For you being pulled through the collective nightmare by an immense evolutionary force, and that means feeling everything, experience all of it, and letting everything go. Okay. So more, to me, that's more of the same. We're in situations we don't like. They're not being changed at the beginning of this. Because they're not being changed, we're feeling really uncomfortable because we're in situations that are of alignment, more and more and more uncomfortable, creating a lot of pressure within our soul so that we can eventually transform withinward to break out of this stuff. And it says those people that allow this transformation to happen here, and that sit with the emotions. It says those pulled into such a radical track develop core perseverance magnificently and learn to be light while super heavy, and to stay light while bearing down in tight passages, and eventually glorious things happen and you emerge into a whole other reality, knowing how purposeful every step has been. So I just get from this degree, a lot of us are in situations we still don't want to be in that haven't ended. Because they haven't ended, we're feeling some kind of crazy way that's not great within our soul, and these bad feelings are serving to transform and teach us that we have to move on, that we have to change, that we have to release these old things. And those of us who can sit with these intense emotions and not act out or not do weird things here are going to be able to release stuff that's no longer and just feel better. I think that's what I get from that alignment, or that degree. Okay, then we get to Scorpio 2. It says pride, stupendous and religious pride. I am right. You've held tightly within reputation, stature, the highest standards, the way it should be. Vastly given over to schemes and dreams, driven from before, maintaining the appearance. So what that means to me is that even though there are bad situations here where we need to release, that we're struggling to release here, that some of us are gonna find the perseverance to do that other people aren't. There are people that you may be dealing with that could be stuck in pride and be too rigid about themselves, about what they think should happen here, that's not going to be willing to go with the evolutionary change, and to be aware of that. Okay, and then we'll stick with Scorpio 3, the last one here. It says feast or famine, generating a world with an on or off switch. By pressing the off switch, none of your needs or desires are being met. Okay, and you resent this with an internal grumble that eats away at your substance. The on switch, pressed in emergencies when you have nothing left, pulls in a very full response to what you crave. Okay. So what this means to me here is that we have to continue bringing it together. We have things in our situation and our lives that are no longer in alignment with us that need to be released. We're really struggling to release them, which is creating a lot of negative emotions within our soul. And the negative emotions, if we can sit with them, are really meant to help us, actually, to help us realize that we need to get out of this stuff here and to give us a better idea of how to do so. And I think like the inner strength in order to do it, which is very good. But even though we're getting a lot of the inner strength to do it, a lot of people aren't going to like releasing these old things, especially that we're talking to, and are going to be stuck in pride or the way things used to be, which can create a lot of weird responses here of going to extremes. Right? That's what I get from this Scorpio 3, going to extremes here with people as we kind of maybe figure things out. Or if not going to extremes as we figure things out with people and explore different sides of what's going to work. Maybe it might explain extremes, us dealing with people on the opposite side of extremes, right? We're one way and a person we're dealing with is extreme opposite way. It can indicate some kind of dealing with extremes in a very uncomfortable way. However, it says that from these extreme, maybe arguments that's going on. However, from these arguments, you do acquire a taste from the plus state, realizing that if you can release the past, everyone else is willing. And all signs are forward as long as you let up stinging yourself for past misdeeds and come afresh to life. So another thing that this means to me is that that not only is this saying, I think that there can be some arguments or extremes within yourself or with other people that you gotta stop worrying about that. You know, you gotta stop stinging yourself for things you woulda, coulda, shoulda do, or for how you worded things, or for how this thing happened here, and stop with that. And that's then gonna help you move on. Okay. And that does lead into some advice that maybe I feel like I should have given you earlier in this video, but it's reminding me now, is that I think a lot of what these inside degrees are saying is that there's a need to sit with the fear long enough for it to transform you and to not cut it short, right? And to not act out in restless, hasty ways before we've fully alchemized, these emotions and are ready to move forward, okay? Because if we don't give ourselves long enough to alchemize these emotions, right, and just act out in crazy ways, it may create even more difficult situations here than it is that we really need. And to not do that here, even though I do think that we're more mature at this time, since I think we've been on this journey for a while. But I think that's all I'm going to say, because that's it. I'm just going to pull your card. Okay. Your card for this time period is, wow, what a card to end with. Didn't see this one coming. The Two of Cups, upright. Wow. And the Knight of Wands, upright. Okay. Now, this to me, this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio, to me, is definitely about endings. Okay, ending things, relationships, jobs, health, money, habits, home situations that you don't like. It's definitely about endings here, which I do think are going to be very frustrating, especially to get the courage up to do and to have the confrontations and possibly even arguments with those that are involved. But even though this new moon solar eclipse is about endings and having those confrontations, once you have the confrontations, right, and once you end the things that are ended, then you're going to have a better chance at creating better things, better relationships, better partnerships that more in alignment with you, and more of a clear shot to get there that's less encumbered, that's going on with more ease of movement, and maybe even with a little bit more speed, since we've been having to go slow, if you've been watching all my other horoscopes as well. So maybe these cards came to give you something here to look forward to, of yeah, this is hard energy here. This is hard energy here because we got to have the courage to confront people, and then who knows how everyone's going to respond, and then we got to not care while they're having this stuff. But once we do it, the other side of it, especially after the new moon in Sagittarius, looks pretty bright. where you're going to have more freedom to do what you want to do and to align your life with better things, with more clear action, you know, clear action plans, clear action steps, more passion, and just more smoothly as you move forward, and to know that that is coming, and to maybe use this as motivation here for you to take care of some of this other stuff that you need in a healthier way. And I think that's all that I've got. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that was helpful for you. I hope that you all have a good new moon solar eclipse here, and I will talk to you on the next video.